and for a moment seemed stupefied by its effects. However, he continued, the next day, contrary to my expectations, the patient was no better. I thought and suddenly decided to remain there, even though my other patients were expecting me. And one can afford to disregard that. One's practice suffers if one does. But in the first place, the patient was really in danger, and secondly, to tell the truth, I felt strongly drawn to her. Besides, I liked the whole family. Though they were really badly off, they were singularly, I may say, cultivated people. Their father had been a learned man, an author. He died, of course, in poverty, but he had managed before he died to give his children an excellent education. He left a lot of books too, either because I looked after the invalid very carefully or for some other reason. Anyway, I can venture to say all the household loved me as if I were one of the family. Meantime, the roads were in a worse state than ever. All communications, so to say, were cut off completely. Even medicine could with difficulty be got from the town. The sick girl was not getting better, day after day and day after day. But here, the doctor made a brief pause. I declare I don't know how to tell you. He again took snuff, coughed, and swallowed a little tea. I'll tell you without beating about the bush. My patient, how should I say? Well, she had fallen in love with me. Oh no, it was that she was in love, however. Really, how should one say? The doctor looked down and grew red. No, he went on quickly. In love indeed. A man should not overestimate himself. She was an educated girl, clever and well-read, and I had even forgotten my Latin, one may say completely. As to appearance, the doctor looked himself with a smile. I have nothing to boast of there either. But God Almighty did not make me a fool. I don't take black for white. I know a thing or two. I could see very clearly, for instance, that Alexandra Andreevna, that was her name, did not feel love for me, but had a friendly, so to say, inclination, a respect or something for me. Though she herself perhaps mistook this sentiment, anyway this was her attitude. You may form your own judgment of it. But, added the doctor, who had brought out all these disconnected sentences without taking breath, and with obvious embarrassment, I seem to be wondering rather, you won't understand anything like this. There, with your leave, I relate it all in order. He drank off a glass of tea and began in a calmer voice. Well then, my patient kept getting worse and worse. You are not a doctor, my good sir. You cannot understand what passes in a poor fellow's heart, especially at first, when he begins to suspect that the disease is getting the upper hand of him. What becomes of his belief in himself? You suddenly grow so timid, it is indescribable. You fancy then that you have forgotten everything you knew, and that the patient has no faith in you, and that other people begin to notice how distracted you are, and tell you the symptoms with reluctance, that they are looking at you suspiciously, whispering, "Ah, it's horrid." There must be a remedy, you think, for this disease, if one could find it. Isn't this it? You try. No, that is not it. You don't allow the medicine the necessary time to do good. You clutch at one thing, then at another. Sometimes you take up a book of medical prescriptions. Here it is, you think. Sometimes, by Jove, you pick one out by chance, thinking to leave it to the fate. But meantime a fellow creature is dying, and another doctor would have saved him. We must have a consultation, you say. I will not take the responsibility on myself. And what a fool you look at such times. Well, in time you learn to bear it. It's nothing to you. A man has died, but it is not your fault. You treated him by the rules. But what is still more torture to you is to see blind faith in you, and to feel yourself that you are not able to be of use. Well, it was just this blind faith that the whole of Alexandra Andreevna's family had in me. They had forgotten to think that their daughter was in danger. I, too, on my side assure them that it is nothing. but meantime my heart sinks into my boots. To add to our troubles, the roads were in such a state that a coachman was gone for whole days together to get medicine, and I never left the patient's room. I could not tear myself away. I tell her amusing stories, and play cards with her. I watch by her side at night. The old mother thanks me with tears in her eyes, but I think to myself, I don't deserve your gratitude. I frankly confess to you, there is no object in concealing it now. I was in love with my patient, and Alexandra Andreevna had grown fond of me. She would not sometimes let anyone be in her room but me. She began to talk to me, to ask me questions, where I had studied, how I lived, who were my people, whom I go to see. I feel that she ought not to talk, but to forbid her resolutely, I could not. Sometimes I held my head in my hands and asked myself, "What are you doing, villain?" And she would take my hand and hold it, give me a long, long look, and turn away, sigh and say, "How good you are." Her hands were so feverish, her eyes so large and languid. "Yes," she says, "you are a good, kind man. You are not like our neighbours. No, you are not like that. Why did I not hear you till now?" "Alexandra Andreevna, calm yourself," I say. "I feel, believe me, I don't know how I have gained, but there, calm yourself. All will be right. You will be well again." "And meanwhile I must tell you," continued the doctor, bending forward and raising his eyebrows, "that they associated very little with the neighbours, because the smaller people were not on their level, and pride hindered them from being friendly with the rich. I tell you, they were an exceptionally cultivated family. So it was gratifying for me. She would only take her medicine from my hands. She would lift herself up, poor girl, with my aid, take it and gaze at me. My heart felt as if it were bursting. And meanwhile she was growing worse and worse all the time. She will die. I think to myself, she must die. Believe me, I would sooner have gone to the grave myself. And here were her mother and sisters watching me, looking into my eyes, and their faith in me was wearing away. "Well, how is she?" "Oh, all right, all right." All right indeed. My mind was failing me. Well, I was sitting one night alone again by my patient. The maid was sitting there too, and snoring away in full swing. I can't find fault with the poor girl, though. She was worn out too. Alexandra Andreevna had felt very unwell all the evening. She was very feverish. Until midnight she kept tossing about. At last she seemed to fall asleep. At least she lay still without stirring. The lamp was burning in the corner before the holy image. I sat there, with my head bent. I even dozed a little. Suddenly it seemed as though someone touched me in the side. I turned round. Good God! Alexandra Andreevna was gazing with intent eyes at me. Her lips parted, her cheeks seemed burning. "What is it?" "Doctor, shall I die?" "Merciful heavens!" "No, doctor, no. Please don't tell me I shall live. Don't say so. If you knew. Listen, for God's sake don't conceal my real position." And her breath comes so fast. "If I can know for certain that I must die, then I'll tell you all. Alexandra Andreevna, I beg. Listen, I have not been asleep at all. I have been looking at you a long while. For God's sake, I believe in you. You are a good man, an honest man. I entreat you by all that is sacred in the world, tell me the truth. If you knew how important it is for me, doctor, for God's sake, tell me, am I in danger? What can I tell you, Alexandra Andreevna? Pray. For God's sake, I beseech you. I can disguise from you, I say. Alexandra Andreevna, you are certainly in danger, but God is merciful. I shall die.